There's a treatment for eczema that you may not know about that is available in the NHS called phototherapy. I showed what the appointment is like in part 1, and now we're going to talk about the cons, logistical cons. In my NHS trust, it's at a hospital and it's only available during work hours. So if you can't get the time off work to go to your appointment twice a week or 3 times a week, you just can't have this appointment. So luckily I can fit it in during my lunch break on the days that I have it. My boss has been really understanding and let me move my lunch break depending on when my appointment is, but I can only do that because I can get to the hospital and back from the hospital within that lunch break. So if you're not close to the hospital you've been offered the treatment at, it might not even be worth doing. And here's another big work-related issue. If you travel a lot for work, that might render the treatment useless because there's more than a week in between your treatments, your dose has to go down. So if you're away a lot, you're never going to get to the dose required for it to actually do something. And I kind of had this issue last year where I've been having this treatment for 6 months because I was traveling a lot for work and then tonsillitis back to back like 3 times. So you can't have the treatment when you're on antibiotics. So it just meant that every time I started to get my dose up a tiny bit, I'd get reset. But now I'm actually getting my dose up. So I'll let you know in my next video if I think it's working, because this is the first time I've actually kind of given it a chance to work. Okay, this is a biggie. When you get to the high doses, the areas where you do have eczema will burn slightly, will go redder. And for me, I find that this is literally the first evening after the treatment and then the next day all the redness is gone. But it does mean that if you have plans that night, prepare to go out looking like a tomato. Major con is obviously an increased risk of skin cancer. It's a UVB tanning machine. Where there's UV, there's an increased risk of skin cancer. But if you look at lots of the other treatments for severe eczema, they also potentially increase your risk of cancer. So another slightly less important risk is premature aging. Not ideal, but we all have to get older at some point. And then this con is my biggest pet peeve because you can't have the treatment if you're having a severe flare-up, which is mind-boggling to get your head around because it's like, this is when I need it the most. I'm in pain, I'm sore, and I just want to increase that rate of healing. And I understand why they don't want to do it, because if your skin is raw and sore, you're going to burn a lot more and that could have like negative side effects. But if it was like me on a beach on holiday, like when my skin was absolutely horrendous, I was taking myself down to the beach every day and like laying myself out there. And that's what actually did improve my skin, but I understand it. It's their job to ensure that they're not putting you at unnecessary risk, so they're not going to do that, understandably. And then the last one, maybe this is just in my trust, but it does seem pretty understaffed. So it's not uncommon for a day of treatments to be cancelled just because there aren't any nurses available for it, which isn't their fault. The NHS has been underfunded for such a long time now that is just the nature of a lot of hospitals, unfortunately. At the start of my treatment, I chose 2 days that I knew that I could definitely do. And then one of those days, the clinic for the entire day got cancelled. So it's just like, I'm gonna have to rearrange my whole life pretty much to make this work. So that was a bit stressful, but I'm very lucky that I could find a way to make it work. So anyway, if you have any other questions, I'm gonna do a bit of a Q&A. I will answer them in part 3. So if you've got anything, drop them in the comments.